Hello, everyone, and welcome to Redesign Your Life Today. I'm your host, Daniel Kobryner. I'm a mental fitness coach, and this podcast it's about sharing with our guests some very transformational stories. I transformed a lot of things in my lives, and it's really very important for everybody to realize that change is possible at any stage in your life. We shouldn't be afraid of change. Actually, we should embrace it. And today, I'm very honored to have a very special guest. Lisa Clements is today with us. And I'll just say a few words. So, Lisa had a really big career in corporate. She works for 20 years, large company with big responsibilities. And she, at the end of that, she had a burnout because there was alignments issue, and we'll speak about that
Mhm.
later on. And went back to where her family lives and started something completely different. She learned how to trade stocks, and she enjoyed it very much. And she decided to share this knowledge with a certain group, and we'll talk about this.
Okay.
And this is a very fascinating story. So, Lisa, a warm welcome to the show, and the floor is yours. I'm just going to ask you, because it was a very brief introduction, if you want to expand
Mhm.
a little bit on what you were doing and what brought you, and this would be great.
Sure, Daniel, thank you for having me. Uh, I actually went to a university to be a high school English teacher and taught for 1 year and thought, I don't think this is what I want to do forever. So my first career pivot took place 1 year after 1 year of working. And I joined a corporate organization, Accenture. At the time, it was called Anderson Consulting.
Mhm.
And I joined human resources and quickly learned there was a job uh, called a recruiter. And I didn't even know that job existed. And I listened to a recruiter on the other side of the cubicle and went, wait a minute, there's a job where you can talk to people all day long and ask them questions and find out about them and see if their desires are a match to the, like, this is the best job ever. And so I started recruiting and in 97 and never looked back. So I rose through the ranks, managing recruiting teams, managing recruiting operations. I did it in multiple countries. I lived in India, the Philippines, spent a lot of time in Eastern Europe, and eventually went to Facebook or Meta and moved out to California and managed global recruiting operations for them, campus recruiting, recruitment marketing, and fantastic opportunity. Loved it. Definitely the career for me at
Mhm.
the time. And eventually felt like my health wasn't doing great. I wasn't feeling positive about what I was doing. I was kind of bored with the subject matter and thought I need to make a big change. And so I moved from California. I left Meta, moved from California back to Kansas City, took some time, and ultimately landed in wanting to do financial advisory work for single women. And I've had my own company doing that now for 3 years.
Wow, such a beautiful journey. And I mean, first question is obviously, you talk about Meta, and it's really very well-known company, and of course, we know it's very successful, but sometimes from the outside, we think there must be a lot of stress there. I mean, with people there. Am I correct in saying that or not? And how do you manage, when you recruit people there? Because it's very prestigious, but what about the how do you call it? the pressure on people. And of course, I'm just asking question if you, I don't know if you can reply or not. You've got,
Sure,
okay.
sure. It was definitely an environment where you were expected to produce a lot, um, very fast moving, and yet very placed a high value on managing your teams holistically, like thinking about them as whole people. So it created it I think, forced me to grow as a leader, to think about my people and the work they were doing, but also how they were growing and developing as people. And so that was a cool, I think, pivot or addition to my skill set working there. But overall, I have nothing but positive things to say about the company. I listen to a lot of the news and, oh, it's terrible, social media and what has it done to our society? And I can only focus on, oh my gosh, all the great things, all the help that's been provided, people that have been connected. Um, it's just, yeah, I definitely see it as more a force for good than evil.
Mhm.
And I can't say really a bad thing about the company.
Beautiful. You see, and obviously you were inside. So, when you are inside, thank you for sharing. It's very interesting for everyone here, you see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it brings a different light. And so you leave California and now you go back to Kansas City, yeah?
Yeah,
Right. So very different lifestyle, I suppose, Lisa.
very different. Very different. In California, I was living in this, little rental house and very packed together and lots of traffic um and I moved to Kansas and bought a house on 6 acres, which is more land. I felt like I could breathe again, It just was more my speed, what felt right for me. I really had to take a look at when I started getting burnt out at Meta and feeling like I'm not learning, I'm not growing in my career necessarily. I can't think of another company I'd rather go work for than, that's bigger or changing the world as much as Meta is. Um, I've been in recruiting for over 20 some years. Uh, so a lot of it was kind of like, well, what's next? How does this shift? And what's important to me right now? And I was seeing pictures on Facebook of my nieces and nephews and their, sports games and their concerts and their school plays and I was missing it in California.
Mhm. Mhm.
And well, I've never married and I don't have kids myself. My nieces and nephews are the closest I have to that. And so the chance to be an aunt, it was like I could be the aunt from afar who sends cool presents, or I could be the one who's actually there, cheering them on.
Exactly. Oh, this is great. And then, so you come back here. So what kind of drew you to, learning these new skills, these financial skills, Lisa?
Yeah, yeah. When I took some time off, learning is one of my top five, like personal growth, one of my top five values.
Mhm.
And so I first took some coaching classes, got my certification as a life coach, um, and then was like, okay, what's next? And I thought, oh, I've always wanted to know more about trading in the stock market. So I joined an investment group that traded options. And I thought, ooh, fascinating. Okay, I could dig in and learn. So I got involved in that, really enjoyed it, learned a lot, lost some money, but also made some money. So it was it was a good balance. And yeah, and I was trying to figure out what I could do that would keep me learning, but also coach and help people. Like
Mhm.
I love teaching, coaching, mentoring, And but I didn't know what to teach, coach, or mentor. And it was actually in a conversation with my really close friends where they said, Lisa, you're loving the finance, you're loving the stock market, and why don't you do that? And I was like, oh no, I don't want to be a financial advisor. Oh, that's boring, and they're like, well, I don't know, but I'd sure take financial advice from you. And I thought, okay, well, I'll listen to my friends. They know me very well. I
Mm.
think that's good advice, listen to the people who know you well. And I researched it. What would I have to do to become a financial advisor? How could I be a different kind of financial advisor than all the older white men that are out there doing financial advice? And so that's what got me excited when I found a way that I could do it that to me was filled with integrity and yet, could help others.
Wonderful, wonderful. And see, something came to mind when you were explaining. You said, you know, your best friends told you about, what you are passionate about. And see, what comes to mind is the notion of Ikigai. Are you familiar with the Ikigai?
No.
No, right, okay, because it's the Ikigai in Japanese, it means the purpose of life, right? And
Ah,
what is
okay.
Ikigai? I mean, it's basically they realize that on the island of Okinawa, people live very old, like over 100 years old. It's called the blue zone. So they thought,
Okay.
okay, why is that? So one is they eat very healthily, they have fish, they have algae, they take care of themselves, but they practice this ikigai. So basically, imagine you take four quadrants. The first one is, what do you love doing? What's your passion? What makes you get up in the morning? What excites you, right? The second one is, what are you good at? And this is why I thought of you before, because actually sometimes I don't know. Well, ask your friends, ask your family, what is Lisa very special at? Again, it's not about ego, it's about, we all have God-given skills or talents when we're born, right? So what do you love doing? What are you really good at, especially? Third quadrant is, what does the world need in terms of services or products? How can I help? How can I add value? How can I, help people? And the fourth thing is, how can I be paid for doing that? Paid,
Right.
it needs money, but imagine for all the people, it can be different. It can be, for instance, if you work for a charity, it's about the fulfillment of helping out people. So the Ikigai is the crossing of these four quadrants: what you love doing, what you're good at doing, what you can help the world with, and what you'll be paid for. And this is really the purpose of life. So it's
Yeah.
about finding it, and it's about and this evolves along with your life because does it? And of course, I was thinking about this because when you recruit people, I guess one of the questions is, what do you love doing? Or you see,
Right.
you really want to. So I guess that even if this expression might be new to you, this concept, I guess, makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love those exercises that, force you to kind of look inward and I think what is so cool is that there isn't ever just one answer. There there are different answers based on where you are in your life, where you are financially, where you are spiritually, what the world needs at the time. And so it's fun to me to think that while I'm doing financial advice and I see myself doing that for quite some time, I think there are other paths I could have taken and could still be fulfilled. Which I think makes it hard for people as they're at that crossroads and they're like, what's next? What do I do next? I think they have to do that exercise. But then, you come up with a couple options and at some point you just have to pull the trigger and move forward with one of them. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, absolutely. You see, my belief is that really we have to have some goals, and it cannot be a multitude of goals. Some are really like there must be one compelling goals because we know that, and this goal has to be really linked to our why. Why do we do this? And
Yeah.
then we talk, what you shared before resonates a lot about values. What are my core values? What is really important? If I was stripped of anything, what would stay? And this is this
Right.
core values, which really is the deepest part of ourselves. And we can only move forward if whatever we decide to do is in alignment with who we are.
Yes, absolutely. And you feel it in stress, in lost sleep, in you get sick a lot. Like there are physical manifestations, I believe, when you're not in alignment. You feel it. You know you're not in alignment. And I think a lot of people ignore that because, well, I need the job or I have to, I have to put food on the table. And while that reality is true, I wish I could encourage more people to, okay, that's true. You have to keep the job and start examining these four quadrants and, start examining what the other potential options might be.
Exactly. This is exactly. And see, when we think about physical diseases, or for me, everyone is linked to emotions.
Hmm.
So I mean, perhaps we go a little deeper there, but yeah, and actually, I even know some emotional healers. I mean, they would tell you if you've got this is linked to that. If you've got if you've
Hmm.
got the throat issues, like it means that you cannot speak something out, that something is stuck in
Yeah.
itself. You see? So I got very interested in a lot of things. Again, it's only over the last few years, but for instance, I don't know if you are familiar with the chakras, these energy
Uh-huh.
centers, which are
Yeah.
the seven main ones, and the energy is flowing from your root chakra to your crown chakra, and when it's blocked, it cannot flow. So you've got to have people helping you to unblock that. So again, it's new concepts, but it's very linked. Everything is about energy. And when
Mhm.
you listen to people like Nikola Tesla, and I remember when he said this sentence, he said, if you want to understand the secret of the universe, think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. And this hit me
Mhm.
because before Einstein had said, we are all energy, just atom in movement. So when you realize that, you start thinking a little differently.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's been about staying connected to God. It's been about, my faith is a guiding star, a north star for me.
Mhm.
And connecting, that spirit inside of you with the spirit of God, I think is so important. Um, if you don't have that core function, that core drive, that core, why am I even on this earth? If you can't answer that question, I think it's really hard to get excited about doing anything, quite frankly, which is why like my Christian faith has been so important to me because it gives me that guidance, that idea that I'm not here for me. I'm here, to play a role in the system, in the environment, in the how can I help and others. Um, and in doing that, we find usefulness and fulfillment. And yeah, sometimes I think I love the concept of spirituality and the idea of connecting to the universe and I do believe that we can tune into energy and in the chakras and clearing chakras and I don't think that goes in opposition to my Christian faith at all. But sometimes I fear that in spirituality we get so self-centered, like, my self-actualization, my self-realization, myself, la la la. And it's so important to cue back into the fact that we're a part of a bigger humanity. We're a part of a bigger ecosystem. And really, we're never going to find fulfillment alone or isolated or within ourselves. I think it's got to be in connection with others and in connection with God. How
Absolutely. I
about
mean,
that for a sermon?
oh, well, I have to say I'm very much aligned with this, Lisa. And you see, why did I become a coach? I was for 35 years in management. I've run companies. I was in international sales development. I've traveled to different countries. I've lived in different countries. And during the
Uh-huh.
pandemic, I listened to some people online, some business coaches, life coaches, which I didn't have a chance before. And I realized that I I had coached people all my life without knowing it, always wanting to get the best out of people. And so it's why it was like a calling. It was like, yes, now this is really what I want to do. I loved being with customers and developing relationship, etc. But I decided to bring it to the next level, to do something which is above myself, right?
Yeah,
And to give back to society, to the best of my humble, abilities.
yeah, yeah.
And so this was one thing. So it was like, yeah, the path is clear. And the other thing is some of these coaches or healers were quite spiritual. And, I remember when people started talking about the laws of the universe. And I was very down to earth, grounded, coming from an engineer. My father was an engineer. So it was like, see, all these things, it's like a bit discarded. You see, astrology, nah, so first, and as you know, we are shaped by the way we are brought up as children until the age of 7. This is what shapes us for the rest of our lives. These are programs running on autopilot, which we learned as very young children. So what happens is I had never been, I mean, not confronted, but I didn't know about a lot of things, but I took it with a very, open mind, and it
Mm-hmm.
started growing on me. You see, I used to be a
Mm.
perfectionist, for instance. I wanted to do everything perfect and all that. And I realized, I thought it was great. And I realized afterwards it was not good. It was a waste of time, a waste of energy, and all that. So it's why I changed. I got myself a coach as well. Of course, I got as well a certification. And
Uh-huh.
you see now, for instance, and this is quite interesting because when we have faith, I mean, it could be in God, it can be, some people call it the source, the universe, the creator. It doesn't matter. Actually, it kind of revolves on the same, but it's really afterwards about having faith in oneself as well, knowing that when we start a path, when we start taking action, even without knowing, having all the elements, which for a perfectionist, it's difficult to understand because normally you want everything and you never get everything. So you get started and then things unfold, and this is how you learn. So,
Mm-hmm.
and you see, what I learned is that I know where I am, I know where I want to go, but how it happens, this is with a superior power. It's just like
Yes.
let's not, because if not, we try to control everything, you see? And so this changed a lot in my life.
Yeah, and I that has helped me so much in my business and starting a business from scratch because I also have such high expectations. Like I want it to be just, oh, come on, I should be profitable in year one and, almost unrealistic expectations. And I love that idea of I can't control the outcome. I can control the inputs. I can control the amount of work I do. Like there's a list of things I can control and then I have to let it go. And I have to trust that if God wants me doing this business, he will connect me to the people, to the women who would benefit from my help. And And if for whatever reason that doesn't happen, then there's a reason, that something else will evolve out of it. So yeah,
Exactly.
there's a trust in the process and in the evolution of it all. Yeah.
Well, I could use the same words as you do, and it's yeah. You see, and this is interesting. It's why I'm coaching these uh, mental fitness. Mental fitness. What does it mean? It's first to understand what are these saboteurs, these little voices
Mhm.
which are running in autopilot and preventing you from or holding you back from living the life you want. So the main one, which everybody has, it's called the judge. We judge
Mhm.
ourselves, and I'm not good, and I messed up, and we keep ruminating, and then we judge others. Look at him, this is not good, etc. Or even the circumstances. And right, oh, it's terrible. The weather is not good, so I don't feel well. Excuse me, what's the connection? But you hear this sometimes, right? So, but afterwards, what happens is that
Right.
see that this judge has accomplices. One is the stickler. The stickler is like the perfectionist, right? It's one of the saboteurs. Another is the controller. Wants to control everything. Which comes, they want the job well done, but afterwards it's about micromanaging and not getting people on board with them because if they do everything, why should we do anything? So I mean
Yeah.
so all these saboteurs they come from a strength which we had as a really young baby, which we developed because we interacted with our parents and we saw how they reacted. We wanted to please them. But afterwards, it evolves as something which becomes negative because we abuse it or we overuse this strength, right? So, for
Mhm.
instance, avoiders. Oh, no, I'm not going to have this conversation because I don't want to upset this person. Yeah, hold on a second. If you don't have this difficult conversation, how can you move forward? How can the other person move forward? So sometimes it's really about understanding, and this really comes from a very young age. And by default, we repeat the same patterns over and over and over again. We have the same
Yeah.
kind of boyfriends, girlfriends, relationship issues, cycles. And people say it's very surprising, and it's not, because actually we don't attract who we want, we attract who we are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Have you read about internal family systems therapy? It's a
I've not read about it. It rings a bell. Internal systems family therapy. It rings a bell, Lisa. Uh,
okay, okay. It's very similar, but it's a little, I don't know, a little variation on a framework, but the idea is that we're made up of a self, an inner self, and that we have parts. We're all made up of parts, just like we're
mhm,
a part of a family system externally. Internally, we have a family system of parts, and the parts are either managers or firefighters. And
mhm,
so yourself goes around trying to do, your mission or live the way that you intend to live. But these parts, which are formed at a very young age, so I think what I'm going to explain is very similar to what you just explained, but different language to
okay,
describe it.
yeah, yeah,
And the idea is that we have these parts that get activated based on what's happening around us. So, for example, I have a manager part that is very tough on me, that is very like, Lisa, come on, you only worked 8 hours. You need to, come on, put in a little more time. Come on, nothing's going to happen, like very harsh. And then I have a firefighter that when I feel overwhelmed or I feel like I'm never going to be good enough, I have a firefighter that says, "Oh, just go get a bowl of ice cream. Oh, just go pour yourself a drink. Oh, just go." Like so we have these other parts that are trying to help us. They're trying to cool the system down from the managers who are the judge, the critic, I think many of the roles that you described in the
mhm,
mind. And so what I loved about internal family systems therapy and out of all the therapy I've done, which is a lot, Um, this one was probably the most effective for me because it helped me see, oh, that's the manager. Oh, there's the perfectionist. There's the judge. There's the, and like literally picturing them around a conference room board table. Like you walk into a boardroom, you sit at the top of it, and then you can actually see each of the roles around. Oh, there's the firefighter that wants to go pour myself. Oh, there's the, and you get to know and how to negotiate what you're going to do next with all the parts of you that can be your barriers or your biggest cheerleaders.
Absolutely. So actually, it's very, very similar because you see, we call them saboteurs, and actually, and the ones I've not, some I've not named. Some people are restless. They always try. They start something and they don't finish, and they start thinking something else. Some people are hyper vigilant, always on the lookout for the danger. And I was a bit of that, like this, So because very often we've got, you rank from 0 to 9, and we've got a bit of quite a few of them. Actually, and
Yeah,
this comes from there is a system which is called positive intelligence. This is where it derives, and there's a person who created that, and it's very interesting. And so, and in that system, they do exactly the same as you do. It means we name them. We have a thought. They say, "Oh, the judge is here." This is
yeah,
well, already when we start labeling it, we take a distance because what's important to realize it, it's not us. It's not us. These are programs. And these
right.
programs can be overrun. A way to do that, for instance, you do this PQ. PQ stands for positive intelligence. You do these PQ reps. For instance, you center and for instance, you rub your fingers and you close your eyes, and then you manage to calm down your nervous system, you see? Or for
Yeah,
instance, you would do some breathing exercises. Or for instance, imagine you focus on something, on a point, on a candle, and by doing that, what happens is that really we calm down the nervous system, we focus, we become grounded again, we come back to the present moment. And these
hmm,
are, and I guess, it's similar perhaps tools which you used as well.
yes, very much so, because it's all about remove or bringing the parts back from their extreme positions. So my manager will, if I feel like I'm not getting enough new clients, or if I'm not, that manager gets louder and louder and stronger, and so moves into this extreme position in my system, and I have to bring it back and go, okay, nope, let's have a conversation. We're not failing. We're in a growth process. We're blah, blah, like you said, like being able to separate from it, see it for what it is, and then know that there's that grounded core self within you that you can get at with the rubbing of the hands or the focusing on a point or the meditation with breathing. I think all of that, they're fantastic methods for getting back to that core of you and silencing all the programmatic voices within you.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. And you see, when I'm using the expression mental fitness coach, what does it mean? It means that, see, all these voices or these managers, what you mentioned, they are in the left part of the brain, right? Now, the
Mhm.
right part of the brain is very underdeveloped, and this is where you've got your creativity, you have your calm, you have your clarity, you see? And what happens is muscles, you train them. For instance, I mean, there's this very important uh, difference between reacting and responding.
Mhm.
Reacting
Yes.
comes from the oldest part of our brain, the reptilian part, which really it was like for survival mode. So either you flight or you fight or you freeze because there's a danger, right?
Right.
Now we as human beings, we've got this brain where we've got a big part is our prefrontal cortex, and which gives us the ability to capture these moments. Okay, and the thoughts will come, but it's what we do
Right.
with them which makes a difference. Imagine somebody criticizes you. the first reaction is to talk back and to say no, and then you start an argument, and then afterwards, you realize that you said thing you never wanted to say. Same for the other person because it got spiraled. So one of the tools there is take a step back, breathe,
Mm-hmm.
go for a little walk, just and this is really when we master that, and it can only be mastered through repetition. And it's why it's a muscle. But and some people say it takes 21 days to get a new habit. I mean, it depends, but it's like, but the more you do things, the more you really uh you are aware of your behavior and you work on that, the better it's going to be. One thing we changed a lot in my life is when people mentioned to me the first time, but really explain to me why we should never take things personally. Never.
Mm.
I said, what do you mean by that? He says, no, because whatever people say to you, whatever people do to you, has nothing to do with you. Okay. No, because it's a mere reflection, a mirror of who they are, of their childhood trauma, very often which are unhealed, of their fears, of their doubts, of their insecurities. So they reflect back onto the world what's inside them. And when you
Mm.
realize that, and it can be family, it can be anybody, it's not going to change the behaviors, but it's going
Mm-hmm.
to change what we make of that. And this we can control.
Mm-hmm.
This is when we know how people are, we think, oh, right, okay, we're not surprised. And I'm going to go even further. I don't know if you heard this one, Lisa, that have you ever been triggered by someone? Somebody
Mm.
pushes your buttons, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
if you had said no, I would have been surprised. We're all triggered.
Right.
But
Right.
now, oh no, when somebody triggers me, you know what comes into my mind? I've got a smile into my mind, and I say, thank you. I mean, mentally. Why? Thank you for reminding me that I need to look inside because I still have some parts inside which are not healed.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Mm-hmm.
How to shift really internally. And this is about obviously therapy and all that. You do work on yourself. You work with your
Yeah.
inner child. You see, and very often it comes from a trauma from childhood. Imagine, you see, even when you say, for instance, oh, this is not good enough, you should work more, etc. This voice, you didn't invent it. Perhaps somebody told you at a given time, I don't know, you have, oh, this should be better, this is not good enough. And this, it's like, you know what? It gets drilled, it's once, it's twice, and afterwards you take it on board because we don't know better as a child. So it's very
Right.
interesting to know that these voices, they are, I said, it comes from somewhere. And sometimes, perhaps in therapy, but even in coaching, we ask questions. When is the first time you experienced this? And some people remember. And I said, okay. And then we ask the question, are you still the little boy or the little girl? Or have you evolved? Can you protect yourself? And then people start realizing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
does it, uh, does it resonate? You know what I'm
Yes.
talking about?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you see, it's a lot is about really psychology as well. I mean, psychology and understanding and having the willingness to understand, what shaped us, but knowing as well that we can reframe it. We can change these neural pathways, by
Yes.
doing these exercises. And this is when we elevate our vibrations. So we have a higher frequency. And this is when we start attracting other people, circumstances in this universe.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know we went a little deep. I hope it was all right, Lisa.
No, I think that's great. I think that's great. I think if someone is listening to this and contemplating change or is trying to navigate their own transformation, I think these are all concepts that are really helpful, to take a lot of what we've spoken about. I hope it's applicable. I hope they can see how to, yeah, how to center themselves and recognize these voices and then separate from them and then be able to explore the roots of those voices and judge now in an adult mind what is true for them and what isn't true for them. So, yeah. The journey to authenticity, I guess, is what it is, right? We could
This is, you just mentioned the word which is like the perhaps the most important in my, I mean, one of the biggest in my vocabulary, authenticity. Be
hmm
yourself, just we are not perfect. We are exactly the way we are. We are the image of the creator, right? And
hmm
and we've got everything we need when we are born. This gets a little shadowed in our young age, but this light is always there. It's just up to us to get rid of all these paradigms which do not serve us and to shine our light, our light with our really special talents, God-given,
hmm
universe-given, or however we call them, because we all have something to offer. And what you said before, Lisa, so much resonate with this. I mean, for me, I'm on this planet, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. It's now realized that I'm here to help elevate consciousness again at my humble level. But if someone resonates with one little idea, this is like a win.
Right.
Because it's
Right.
not about me, how I deliver that. It's really about it's really about the message.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
So yeah. So Lisa, with your when if you had to give like three tips, to our listeners, I don't know about change, three things which are really like which have been really important for you, and in your journey, what would it be?
Hmm.
Could be some of the things we discussed already, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, but it's really, what was the most, you changed a lot. You are a person, really, you love what you do, etc. So if other people want to do the same, what do they need to know?
I think number one is to understand what your driving force is, your why.
Mhm.
For me, it's my faith in Jesus and um, and wanting to do what he's, put me on this earth to do. I think it's number two, being very clear on your values.
Mhm.
Um, what what's really important to you? It's okay if it's wealth. It's okay, like whatever it is, there's no judgment, but just be honest about it and live in alignment with it. Um, so values, and then also I would attach with that needs and wants. Values, needs, and wants. So, for example, um, I need to feel like uh, I have a need to be the expert. It's silly. It's ridiculous. I don't know where it came from. Sometimes I hate this about myself, but I want to be the expert. I have this need to feel like, and and so I have to go, okay, now you can be the expert, but you do it with humility. Learn your subject matter expertise. You know what I mean? Like, so it's okay, recognize it, but then harness it and leverage it. And then third, yeah, rely on the many resources around you. The books, the podcasts, your family and friends, your spiritual guides, like that. Utilize those resources. Don't feel like you have to navigate it alone. So, how about that for three?
Yeah, no, thank you
Is
so
that
much.
okay?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you see, it's not for me to judge. Remember, Lisa, it's not for me to judge. And I was just reflecting a little bit, when you were, and it was great. You shared, you said, oh, I need to be the expert. And, as a coach, I would ask, who said you need that? Who said that? You see? It's
Yeah.
because, you know what? It's sometimes when there's like, when you have a need like this one, it's a little bit like, I need to be validated by others, for that. Now, you
Mm-hmm.
don't need to be validated. Are you not validating yourself? You see? And this is sometimes we look inside and we think, actually, yeah, I've got everything I am, and I am exactly. You see, it's where you've got to look where it's from, because the Creator makes us perfect as we are, and sometimes it's perhaps because some people put us down and says, "Oh, you're not good in that," etc. That subconsciously we try to prove them wrong, but you don't need that, I mean, it's validation. But we validate ourselves, and I know sometimes I was seeking validation from others, so it's why I'm talking about that, But now I
Yeah.
realize that no, it's and very important is not never to judge ourselves through the eyes of other people, because again, it's could be on both sides. Is I mean, of course, people who criticize you, but as well, if people are too much, like they put you on a pedestal again, it's not good either. You see, I mean, of
Right.
course, people do what they want, but we've got always to remain to keep this kind, and you say, sense of balance, and okay, we are like the way, and of course, very important is to surround ourselves with like-minded, like-spirited people, people who are going to
Mm-hmm.
uplift us and whom we can uplift. And on the other side, to put a distance with people, which energy is kind of draining us down. This is very important.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, look, it's been a fascinating conversation. I talked a little more than what I usually do. I've got to apologize for that, but I think it was like in the mood, and it's really about exchanging, which was
Yeah.
so. I really want to thank you very much, Lisa, for your time. And when our listeners want to connect with you, what's the best way? If they resonate with
You
you.
bet. I am on this, Instagram, TikTok, and also my website at Clear Springs Wealth.
Clear Springs Wealth. Okay.
Yes,
And
clearspringswealth.com.
yes, exactly. And your surname is Clements, yes?
Yes, exactly. Lisa Clements.
Clements. So that if people want to connect you, for instance, with you on LinkedIn, I suppose you might be on LinkedIn as well.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I have a company page on there as well.
Okay,
But
well,
yes, Lisa Clements in Kansas City.
in Kansas City. All right. So Lisa, thank you very much. It was really beautiful conversation. And what? There's somebody?
I'm so sorry. We have a delivery person at the house right now. The dogs
Don't
did so well.
don't be sorry. It happens, and so thank you very much, and thank you for our listeners to be with us. And I hope you took something out of this conversation. So see you in the next episode, and thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Bye bye.